Sarah Mack here, and I'm very excited to bring this episode to you today. I've been feeling very chill and zen this week, and I was just having a conversation in Boxer with my Freedom Club women, which is my mastermind, and the topic of meditation came up, and it inspired me to create an episode on the topic of meditation. And so this is perfect for you if you've maybe been falling off the bandwagon a little bit with your meditation practice, or if you've been really feeling the call to go deeper and you're curious about exploring meditation more. And I'm going to share some pretty fun stories with you about my experience with meditation to inspire you, to reignite your passion, and also to just remind you of how freaking important meditation is as a practice and as a commitment, as an entrepreneur and as a creative. So I do truly believe that meditation is the path to getting what you want in life. And that's definitely been true for me. And you know, this is about business. This is about money. This is about health and well-being. This is about creative freedom. This is about alignment, right? Like all of these things come from a meditation practice. And I have had a lot of experience with that. So I'm going to share some of that with you today. And as I was sharing with my client, who was saying how she just didn't have time to meditate at the moment, and I really challenged that. And I dared her to put the timer on for 30 seconds or 1 minute or 3 minutes, as sometimes I will do, and just breathe and really challenge yourself to do that every single day, no matter what. You know, it can be the first thing you do as you wake up. But generally, that's the first thing I do. As soon as I wake up is I'll lie in bed and listen to a meditation. And then I'll get up and do some type of a workout, because I know that if something that I'm committing to doesn't get done at the top of the day, as the day goes by, statistically, you become less and less likely to follow through on that. So if something really is a priority for you, make it the number one thing that you do. And that's why meditation is the number one thing I do every damn day, because I see the difference that it makes in my day. And, you know, regardless, for whatever reason, and also she's a mother too, so I acknowledge that her reality is like 100% different from mine. But I do know mothers, other entrepreneurs who talk about this and how important it is to even just do it for 5 minutes before you get up. And if for whatever reason you can't do it at the top of your day, just fitting it in, you know, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, really making that a non-negotiable. If you have to lock yourself in the bathroom for a few more minutes to just sit and get present, count your breath, and focus on your body, bring your mind to that full stop. And we're going to dive into why that's so important. Because meditation is really the place where you access everything that you want. And most importantly for me, it has been the place where I learned to access my intuition at greater and deeper levels. And not only that, but it trained my focus. You know, as somebody who was diagnosed with ADHD and has experience, you know, I am a multi-passionate creative. I'm a manifesting generator in human design. I have many, many different passions. I have many different projects on the go at all times. And focus has been an issue for me. And productivity has been an issue for me. And following through and completing things has been something that I have had to be very intentional around cultivating the skill around. And as an entrepreneur, that's pretty much like your number one skill is focus and follow through. And meditation was really the path for me to be able to focus on something long enough to move through the challenges and the growth in order to complete it. So this is why it's the number one most important thing, in my opinion, to be committed to a daily practice. And also, if we're looking to evolve, if we're looking to create a life that's different from the life that anybody in our family has ever experienced, it is necessary, because something like 80% of our thoughts are repetitive from the day before. And so a high percentage of our thoughts we actually inherited from our family, from our upbringing, from our community as we were growing up. So if you want to make more money than anyone in your lineage has ever made before, if you want to pursue a career, or a vocational direction that nobody in your community or family, modeled to you, it is required that you think different thoughts. Like, that's the number one prerequisite. And so meditation is really a full stop in the sentence. It allows us to put a full stop in whatever is repeating that we picked up from prior generations, and to really take that full stop and to be intentional and to move the thought train onto the track that's actually going where we want to go. So meditation is basically going to the gym for exercising that muscle to be able to do that for ourselves. To think the thoughts that are going to take us in the direction that we actually want to be in today, tomorrow, the next day, next year, 10 years from now. So I'm going to share with you my journey with meditation. I started meditating regularly when I began my master's degree in Montreal, which was 2011. And prior to that, I'd been working on film crews where I would literally wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m., I wouldn't even have breakfast at home. We would have breakfast on set most of the time. And I would literally just roll out, wake up, get into my car, put my clothes on, get into my car, go to set. And then I would be there. It was 18-hour days was the average. So all my meals I ate on set, I was driving around. I just didn't have the time or capacity to have a consistent practice. Although I did start to bring that in a little bit later on, after I had established that daily practice for myself. I would do even just 5 minutes of yoga before I got in the car to drive to set. And so when I became a student for the first time since I'd graduated my bachelor's, back in 2008, I think that was 2007. So that was the first time I really had freedom over my schedule. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm going to do yoga every day. I'm going to meditate every day. That's when I really, started getting into personal development in more of a serious way. And everything I picked up was preaching, meditate every day. And so I just started doing creative visualization meditations on YouTube for free. And I remember back then keeping it secret, and I was ashamed. I thought that people would judge me. I thought people would think I was weird for meditating. And isn't it amazing how widespread and common it is now? And isn't it funny that I used to keep the volume down on my meditations in case my roommates thought I was weird? Isn't that funny? It's so funny. So back then I did not know how to creatively visualize. I couldn't bring an image of anything into my mind before I started training through meditation to be able to visualize things with my eyes closed. So if you're thinking I am just not a creatively visual person, I'm not a very intuitive person, just know that these are skills that I believe we are all born with. And, just like we build muscle by lifting weights, we get to train them. We get to build our strength in them. And by doing these types of exercises consistently, we actually build our strength to be able to visualize creatively, to be able to really tune in and listen to our intuition, because our intuition is like a tiny little whisper like this. It's that little voice that's go and write a post about this, start this business. And it's whispering all these little ideas. It's not punching you in the face and yelling at you to go and do things, which maybe is the way that we've been used to being told, what it is that we should be doing. So really being able to get quiet, really being able to feel into my body what felt good, what were those little voices, what were those ideas, what were those nudges and insights that just kept coming up from inside of me that weren't coming from the outside world. That was my gateway into that, which really, birthed my everything that's amazing in my life right now, everything, all of the things I said yes to, and I was definitely already using my intuition, but more unconsciously. But being able to use it consciously, intentionally, has allowed me to create so much transformation, mainly in my relationship with money, and obviously the way that I'm bringing in money and the enjoyment that I have around that in my business and my vocation. So that was really a big turning point for me, committing daily to my meditation. And it also allowed me to listen to my emotions, which as a British person, I was not doing. And I was doing my very best to avoid, because that's really how we're socialized in England, to be dead from the neck down and sweep everything under the rug, unless you've drunk so much that your emotions just come out everywhere and it turns into a big mess. That's pretty much my emotional processing skills when I first came to the practice of meditation. And, that unlocked a whole journey for me in listening to things and actually tuning into things and processing things that had been extremely uncomfortable, that I really felt unequipped and genuinely didn't have any tools to be able to process, and was, required significant amounts of therapeutic help to really teach me how to deal with high sensation, how to process emotions that just I had numbed out, like anger, frustration, resentment, betrayal, instead of just pretending that everything's fine, and actually acknowledging my needs and acknowledging the things that I desired to feel good and to feel nourished, to feel loved, and to feel taken care of. So just a huge transformation happened for me once I started meditating. And not only that, but it really trained my focus and my ability to follow through on goals. So I'm going to share some of the types that I have explored that have just been really incredible for me. And I will, the prerequisite to this conversation is I don't think you need to go and do a 10-day silent retreat in order to get the benefits of meditation. Like, none of these things are required. I have been on many, many adventures in my life. One of, many adventures through different practices of meditation. But I absolutely know without a doubt that the most valuable practice is the fact that I just sit my butt down and I do it every day to whatever capacity I'm able to, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, and that I do it consistently every day. Like, that's what makes the difference, not, diving deep and doing hours and hours and hours and hours. Like, yeah, it's nice to do. And I think it fast tracks just your use of the skill of meditation, and it gives you more tools when you dive into different techniques. And more than anything, it's fun. I like to switch up the different types of meditation that I do because it's interesting and it appeals to me, and it's exciting to me to try new things. So it keeps me engaged in the practice, because I do get bored of doing the same thing over and over and over. So none of these are required is the prerequisite to this conversation. Just whatever works for you, and just doing it consistently every day for whatever amount of time is accessible to you at whatever phase of your life you're in. So my first way in was really through yoga, which I started when I was 18. And I believe it was, in 2011, which was over 10 years ago, that I really started committing to it daily, some type of daily movement, even if it was for 10 minutes or 5 minutes. Now I commit to at least 30 minutes a day, simply because I see the difference in, I don't take any type of medication, and I see the difference in my mood, in lower levels of anxiety, higher levels of focus, less periods of depression when I do yoga. And I notice when I don't feel good when I don't do it. So yoga literally is my medicine. And that's kind of another conversation. But that was my way into meditation, because again, as somebody who has been very up in her head and, really not been very comfortable sitting with the experiences and sensations and emotions in my body, I've never been able to just quiet my mind very successfully. So having a movement to guide me into a meditative state, which is essentially what yoga is, was really my way in to be able to quiet my mind and to be able to get to much deeper levels of stillness and peace, having something else to focus on and really moving all of that energy through my body. So, and then just doing some type of free meditation on YouTube for 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes a day. And I still use that sometimes. Often I'll use meditations that, coaches that I'm working with have shared with me, but very often I'll still just search for practitioner meditations on YouTube. And if you are looking for one, I do have a creative money meditation that I created with specific money mindset beliefs that allowed me to double my income 3 years in a row. You can download that at my website with sarahmac.com. But I love to switch it up. So I will listen to different meditations on YouTube. And that has really been my long-standing practice, some type of 5 to 10 minute meditation, and then daily yoga or some other type of movement. And then, so I had established that as a daily practice during my years studying my master's in Montreal. And that was when my burnout started to kick in, which I've spoken about in quite in depth in other podcast episodes. So if that is something that you're going through or you're interested in hearing more about, I do have several other episodes on that. Go and you can search for those on my website. And I ended up this section of my story, I ended up in India, kind of unintentionally, just blowing with the wind after the reason I went out to Bali to help a friend with their business kind of fell apart due to mysterious circumstances, unexpected spanners in the works. And so I went to India because I was very, very burnt out. I no longer had a job. And I was, really, after listening to my body, realizing that I needed to take care of myself. I needed to rebuild my energy. I needed to just listen. And, I was doing a lot of research into what it is that would allow me to build my energy levels back up again. And meditation just kept coming up, yoga and meditation. So I ended up at a Vipassana 10-day silent meditation retreat, partly because I just wanted somewhere that was very cheap to live. It was donation based. And I knew I needed to meditate. I knew I just needed to rest and really give that time to my body and my nervous system to recalibrate and to start to build up again. So, and I do highly recommend doing a Vipassana 10-day meditation retreat if that is calling to you. There are centers all over the world and it is donation based. And what happened for me during that process, so I'd been obviously practicing yoga for a while, so I was comfortable sitting in meditation for extended periods of time. I didn't have any really much physical pain. So that was definitely helpful for me to be able to get into those long states of being still, using the technique that they teach you. And many things happened during that time, one of which was that I started having an allergic reaction to the mosquito repellent in my room, and I broke out in hives, and they had to call a doctor out to give me an antihistamine injection. I did not know what was going on, but then I kind of figured out that it was the mosquito repellent, because there's all kinds of other stuff in them out there. They don't have as many such a high standard on what types of chemicals you can put in products as they do over here. And I'd also picked up a stomach infection on the train on the way there because my immunity was just so low at that point. So I was going through a whole host of physical symptoms that were highly, highly uncomfortable. But once we got those figured out, and the stomach bug passed, I'd got my antihistamine injection, I could finally settle into the practice. And what I would notice was I would be doing the technique, which is really to focus your mind and training focusing your mind on your body without reacting to the sensations that you're experiencing. And what would happen is I would go through periods of stillness, hours and hours and hours, days and days, maybe like 2.5 days would go by. And then I would just break out into tears. Like I would just start crying, and there was no memories that were coming up. There was no visual imagery. There was not even any specific emotion. Like my mind couldn't understand why I was upset. And I'd never experienced this before. And having this experience really connected me to this understanding of crying as really just the body's way of releasing stress. And, a lot of the time when we're busy and we're active, and obviously our minds are active and we're focused on other things, we sometimes just don't give ourselves time to process, like physically, emotionally, energetically, many of just the things that we have, the intensity of being a human, right? And so, yeah, I just started crying, and my body just started releasing. And because I had been training that sense of presence, I was really able to just, and obviously the teachers helped to guide me to just really sit there and to be present and to continue the technique, to not react to it, to not respond, to not try and make it go away, to not, attach a story to it, but really just to be with the experience and to be with the sensation and allow my body to do its thing. And so I would go through a period of crying and releasing and just allowing for that to happen. And then that would eventually subside. And then I would go back into the stillness, back into the technique. And that would happen for another, like 2.5 days or so. And then it would happen again. So it was almost as if it's like a cleaning. Like it's a cleaning, and then it would get down to a new layer, or it would, hit on something, or something would have time to actually surface and to release and to process. And I just thought that, everybody's experience is very, very different. I also, I didn't have that many thoughts during that time. There wasn't any particular memory processing. I did, connect to like a couple of insights around my life that were meaningful to me. But just having that experience, I thought was really cool to be able to connect with my body in that way and really just give it some time and space to be with it, and to learn something new about the human body, right? We're so incredible. We carry these bodies around every day, and we know so little about them. And, my partner is a doctor. He knows way more about my body than I do. He's an OBGYN. And so I didn't even know where some of my organs were in my body, and actually being able to put my hand on my body and know where some of my organs are and just learn more about this thing that allows me to live my life is so empowering and magical. And I just believe the more reverence we have for our bodies, the more they support us, the more harmonious our relationship becomes with them. As somebody who obviously wasn't in a harmonious relationship with my body, and I wasn't listening and I wasn't taking care of it in the way that it needed. So that was a very transformative experience for me. And then another type of meditation that I committed to for a while. So Kundalini is a form of yoga. And there's the Kriyas are kind of the types or the styles or the little exercises of meditation within the Kundalini yoga practice. And there's one called Kirtan Kriya. So Kirtan is using the voice. So it's chanting. It also uses a hand mudra where you use your fingers and your thumbs together and you switch them. And then there's vowel sounds, sa, ta, na, ma, that you're chanting. And I stumbled across this on Instagram, where I learned about it through a friend. I can't remember how it came to me, but it was one of those exercises, as is common with particular meditation practices or prayers, to do them for a set period of time, like 30 to 40 days. So, the intention was to do this for 30 days. So I did it for 30 days and I felt so good that I was like, I'm going to do this for another 30 days. And then that eventually turned into 2 to 3 years of doing this meditation practice consistently, because I noticed the huge night and day difference that this practice was making in my life. And it had reduced my levels of anxiety, and it had massively increased my ability to focus. So my procrastination levels had gone down. I was able to sit and work through things for more extended periods of time, less periods of distraction. My productivity levels were going up. So, and that was within 30 days. And I did it until it just didn't feel good anymore. And finally I got to a place where it just started not feeling so good after doing the practice. So then I knew it was time to let it go and to move on to something else. And there have actually been studies done on this particular style of meditation, because it's been around for well over a decade. And apparently studies have shown that it reduces the development of aging related brain disorders like Alzheimer's and dementia. So it's powerful. It's proven how powerful this practice is. And you can find videos on this on YouTube. So these days, I'll still listen to a meditation, either from a coach that I'm working with or something on YouTube, whatever I'm in the mood for. I really follow my intuition, because it has proven to me that without thinking things through too much, without, having any type of particular strategy other than to just follow my intuition, trust when something comes up for me or something comes into my world or comes to my intention, that there's something valuable there for me. And so I will follow my intuition with whatever I'm really feeling will support me, or feels exciting, or feels really good. I'll do that before I get up in the morning. And then I'll practice yoga, which is a continuation of my daily meditation. Really gets me into stillness in my body. And sometimes I'll follow that with more sitting meditation, because I do find that after yoga, I'm really able to be still, thanks to working with my breath. Yoga is meditation. So if you're somebody who is like me and has trouble getting your mind into a still place, I highly recommend movement meditation, breath work, using some type of mudra or chanting, something that's a little bit more active, that directs your focus into a specific task or activity, so your mind isn't just rattling around and picking up speed. So it's usually only ever after at least like 30 minutes of yoga that I'll be able to get to, and good yoga with a good teacher, get to that place of real stillness and able to do longer sitting periods of meditation. And alternatively, if I don't have time for that, I'll do a 10-minute morning qigong. There's a video on YouTube by Lee Holden, who's a really amazing teacher. And qigong is spelled Qi and then a space and then Gong, is like a half step between yoga and meditation. So it's standing, so it's easy to do without a mat. And it's very gentle, very slow, movement-based meditation. It's also based on the same principles as yoga. So it opens up your meridians, it aligns you. And I would do that, when I was recovering from burnout and I had chronic fatigue, and I maybe or sometimes when I'm super tired or I'm not feeling good or I'm a little sick and I don't feel like doing extensive movement, just doing that and breathing with those simple, gentle exercises drastically shifts my energy levels, my focus, my mood, even for 10 minutes. So, my invitation is to play with some different modalities, explore, hunt around until you find something that resonates with you, trust your intuition, and just pay attention to how different your day goes and how different you feel when you give yourself time for even a really, really, really short practice at the top of your day, because it really does make a difference. It's putting a full stop in whatever was going on in your mind when you went to bed. It's a clean slate. It really elevates your level of consciousness and your ability to choose things that are moving you in a direction that you're choosing versus old inherited patterns. And I do it because I love it, and I do it because it feels good. And I'm quite a high intensity person, but I'm also very sensitive, and I do have the tendency to live extremes. So lots of fast-paced action, and then I'll be passed out and still and quite relaxed and doing nothing for an extended period of time. But I do my best to incorporate both kinds of activity into each day and each week. Because obviously that's kind of what burnout is, right? Is if you keep going and going and going and going and you don't fill your battery back up again. That's why I love now to take meditation breaks throughout the day. And sometimes I'll do multiple different types of meditation in the morning. And then sometimes if I'm really tired or I'm having an energy slump, but I don't feel like I'm going to be able to have a nap, I'll just do a meditation in the afternoon. That's like life goals for me. If I can get a meditation in the afternoon as well as in the morning, I'm winning. Life is great. I'm a champion. Even if it's just a few minutes, because it really makes a difference if you are somebody who has quite hyperactive energy, or who, is quite distractible, and you really want to be more productive and get more things done and be more focused in, doing more of the things that you love and moving towards your goals with more intentionality. So putting those breaks in to just recharge throughout your day and then really carrying that energy with you, I find it really helps me. Like if I feel amazing in the morning, I'm going to have a different day than if I don't feel good. My brain is different. I'm more sharp. I have less brain fog. I make better decisions. I'm more creative. I'm more, I have more to give in relationships and with my clients. I'm more patient. I'm less reactive. I'm less in my emotional patterns, and I'm making choices far more consciously, which absolutely has transformed my reality and my relationships and my happiness and my well-being. So the key here is consistency. Always, 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 always meditate daily. This is like my number one business strategy, my number one money mindset strategy, my number one happiness and relationship strategy, my number one health and well-being and energy management strategy. Even if it's for 1 minute, doing it every day, that's 7 minutes by the end of the week. I promise you'll be a different person than if you didn't do it. And I always move my body daily. I just feel better when I do these things. Even if I'm so busy, I find the path of least resistance to do at least something for 5 to 10 minutes. And it really is the combination of these seemingly small life hacks that lead to consistent high levels of performance. It leads to wellness, it leads to health, it leads to happiness. And then it leads to business and money success, because without all of these other things, our businesses do not exist. If we don't have the focus, then we don't have the follow through. So anytime you're creating something new, that's really, what is required above anything else before you have ingrained habits in maintaining that thing in your life. Extreme focus and ability to follow through and really setting yourself up for success with that is the key. Meditation is your number one power tool to accessing that. So I hope that this has been valuable and that this has inspired you to dive deeper into your practice, meet your next edge, whatever that is to you, to just commit more deeply to your wellness, to your well-being, and to your clarity and to your connection to yourself and your reverence for yourself and willingness to really do what it takes to take care of yourself at a high level, knowing that that's the gateway to experiencing higher levels of results in all of the things that you desire in every single area of life. So if you love this conversation and you know that committing to your wellness goals is a huge part of experiencing more joy in your business and the way that you make money, and really listening to your intuition and trusting yourself and committing to the tools that allow you to do that, then I would love to invite you into either my 6-month Mastermind Freedom Club or my private mentorship, which is where we really get to go deep on those conversations to give you tailored strategies to just up level the way that you're doing things so that you experience more ease. You also experience more alignment, less procrastination, less resistance, but you also have the tools to move through, whatever it is that you're coming up against as you're transforming, to be living your dream creatively free life and 6-figure business as a coach, healer, or artist entrepreneur. So please reach out to me. You can check out all of my programs at withsarahmac.com. Please leave your comments, anything that you have to contribute about your journey with meditation, any insights that this conversation has sparked for you. I would love to continue the conversation with me. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook. Leave a comment and tag me wherever it is you happen to have stumbled across this episode. And please like and share with anybody who you know would benefit from this content. Thank you so much for listening and have an amazing rest of your day. If you loved this content and you want more, then I would be thrilled to have you join Freedom Club, which is my 6-month mastermind group coaching program with monthly masterclasses, 2 monthly group coaching calls with me, and Voxer access to a group chat for daily support combining biz strategy, money mindset, and energy management to provide you with tools to stay focused, stay in momentum, and get personalized support with whatever is coming up for you from day to day. It's the place to get all your questions answered and feel super supported so that building your six-figure business is not only fun, but also provides you with so much freedom when you take the simple route to get there. I'm here to share what is currently working for me so you can shortcut your learning curve with tools to find what works for you in your own unique way of doing business. Clients start to see results like easily booking out their offers, building a waitlist of clients, raising their rates, hiring team, and setting up back-end systems to free up even more of their schedule, launching their first group programs, finding easy, fun social media strategies that work for them, up-leveling their health and daily habits, taking time out to travel and live their dream life, and hitting their income goals with more ease than ever before. So if you're interested in joining a community of loving, supportive, creative entrepreneurs with big dreams, you can apply at withsarahmac.com, or feel free to send me a message on Instagram or Facebook to chat about if it's a good fit for you.